Good evening, everyone. We're about to start this meeting for the Sumner County Board of Education for June the 15th. Before we do, I'm going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to our country's flag. Anyone who would like to join me, please feel free to do so. Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How many times have you done that, Doc? 120?
I've got it worked out.
Yeah.
About to get started. Before we do want to let you know that Miss Hawkins is with us by Zoom. Her brother passed away, and she's there with them, and we're sure sorry for that. My prayers, and I know the board's prayers and thoughts will be with you, Miss Hawkins, and we're sure sorry that happened. Sure sorry you're having to go through that, but the Lord will bring you through it. We know He will. So we'll move on to our agenda items. First item is to call to order. We're called to order, so the next item is roll call. Mr. Johnson, I'm sure you have the roll. Next item on the agenda is the approval of regular agenda as presented.
To approve?
There's a motion by Mr. Wise. Second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We should be doing roll call votes, should we not, Mr. Johnson? Okay, sorry about that. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding Director of Schools employment agreement upon first reading. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by everybody in here, I think. Mr. Wilkerson,
Do we need to waive second?
if someone would like to add that to their motion, I think we could take that.
I would like to add that.
Mr. Wise would like to add waiving second reading to the motion. Second by Mr. Wilkerson. You agree with that? You approve of that? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll go through the roll call. Mr. Johnson?
All right, let's see, that was Mr. Wise and Mr. Wilkerson. All right, Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. Bachman,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
No, Mr. Duncan.
Which one?
Mr. Duncan, sorry, I looked at it wrong. Ms. Hawkins,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
I don't know. I'm still good. Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory,
I think
Mr. Wilkerson,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes.
All right, amendment carries unanimously.
Motion carries unanimous. All righty then.
Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
Still need to vote on the main motion, Mr. Chairman.
Pardon me?
Still need to vote on the main motion. That was the amendment to
That
waive
was
second
amendment?
reading.
Okay, now we gotta vote on the main motion. We thought we was voting on keeping Doc. Okay, we voted on the
time.
the motion and the second, and now we're voting on.
longer and all.
Yeah.
Including the first one.
This is voting on the main motion, to accept his contract as written.
Ms. Hayes,
Miss Hayes. Definitely. Yes.
Ms. Bachman,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews, Mr. Duncan. Yes. Ms. Hawkins,
Aye.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory,
Yeah.
Mr. Wilkerson,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, you can thank us again now.
Thank y'all.
All right, motion carries. We've got him for another little while. As long as he behaves himself, we'll keep him, I think. That's good. That's good. All right, next item on the agenda is adoption of consent agenda. Is there a motion? Motion by Ms. Bachman, second by Mr. Wise. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Go by the roll.
Roll call.
Yeah, roll call. They all have to be roll calls because
Yeah.
We're on video. Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. Bachman,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, next item on the agenda is consideration, no, we just did that, didn't we? Recognition of hearing, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Not all the
Minutes.
Yeah, just consideration of minutes, discussion, interaction regarding the minutes of the May 18th, 2021 regular meeting. Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Mr. Wise. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, take the roll, please.
Ms. Hayes, Ms. Bachman,
Yes.
Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next item on the agenda is recognition of hearing delegations. I see none. Is that the fact?
Yes, sir.
There are none. Next matter involving council. I don't see him here, so none of that. Next item on the agenda is reports from the director, Dr. Phillips.
All right. So we have our Liberty Creek principals with us, and I think all of you know these three fine, outstanding folks, Dr. Reynolds, Mr. Jason Bennett, and Dr. Holt. So I wanted to make sure I knew that you all knew them. So we're excited about, obviously, about getting them into their positions for Liberty Creek. We've had a lot of conversations around the unique opportunity we have here to create a sense of community as we start the school. It's rare to have
Oh, yeah.
all of them started at one time.
Oh, how long has that been?
Very, very rare. So,
6 weeks. It's nice.
so we're gonna, have a chance here to do some things on the front end in the next year or so to build that sense of community, and they're excited about that. And I know they have a ton of things that you'll be hearing about that will involve the community, the families of those students that will be moving and transitioning to Liberty Creek in the fall, and then as we move into obviously the spring of next year, we'll kind of ramp up and do more activities around that larger community. Tonight, what we want to do, because they're going to start doing some stuff with website, start building out some website work, and they already kind of got that stuff ready to start. Just basic information for parents, and then once they start adding things to it, they can do that, and then also have some social media presence through Liberty Creek. And I think that's all part of the overall plan. We worked probably for the last 6 months or so, 6-9 months on branding. And so because this is an entire school community and we're starting them all at the same time, we wanted to make sure that we had brands that we could use that would be consistent across the campus. We did use a firm, an outside group that does this for colleges and high schools all across the country to help us with this. And I think they did a great job. We went through a lot of choices, a lot of changes, and they were very good to work with. What we wanted to do this evening, because we didn't want you to see these out on social media in the next month or two, there's going to be an online store, I think, that will get stood up that parents in the fall can start buying some things that have these logos. But we wanted you to see them so you obviously would know kind of what we were going for in regard to the branding and kind of what we were going to use out at Liberty Creek. If you look, JJ, will you hand me one? Oh, there's one right here. Never mind, I'm sorry. So if you look, this is one that came up early. And this, you'll also know too that, notice once the building opens, some of the graphics that we use inside the building with wall graphics in the gym and big spaces around the athletic complex, those types of things, we'll have some of these kind of own them in different locations, just depending on what would look best based on location. But obviously, the first one we've seen, you've probably seen that one, and we'll use that one in some of the athletic spaces. If you flip over, the colors are all interchangeable, meaning that you know, if you wanted to use the Columbia blue that is predominant on the middle school one here, doesn't mean that you can't change those colors out in some of the graphics on the elementary. Does that make sense? We were just trying to show the easiest way to show the most ways to use the graphic. But if you see the elementary, the wolf obviously is not mean looking. You know, we didn't want a growling wolf with blood dripping off its teeth while you know at the elementary school. So it had to be something that carried the theme. And I think we went through probably more choices of this to get one that didn't look so kitty and silly, but then also didn't look mean and angry and, you know, kind of like you'd think you'd see at a high school where you're in an athletic contest or something. So I think the group really came up with this. This is good. We did like the, and you'll see this, the shield. That's kind of an odd shape to see in a logo graphic, but I think it kind of sets it apart and makes it look different for us. If you look over, we did pick out this particular font. I think it's called Nissan. Nissan, yeah. And so that's the font that we'll use everywhere while we're up there on all of our printed and graphic materials. If you look at the second page, you'll see, I think the circle with the crest in it, that one will be consistent with how the high school and middle school look as far as that particular seal that will be used on letterheads and that kind of thing. And then you see the same font. The LC that's there, that staggered LC, is one that we'll use probably on some of the athletic fields, probably uniforms, some uniforms, that kind of thing. It's a little bit different than I've seen in other places, so we're happy about that. Then the back page is very similar to the middle school, so you can kind of see the consistency, but using different colors. The same colors selected for the school, but showing them in the graphic in a different way. And then the last one is showing the high school crest, and so this is what will be on all of the high school seals and transcripts and those types of things. And so I think it's very classy, very pretty. I think it's something that's easily recognizable. I think it shows the front of the building well. I think it's just something that will stand the test of time. So I think it'll be very classy and look really good. So I'm proud of the work that the group did. I know they went through a lot of stuff to get down to just these last ones that we actually are going to use, and glad to answer questions. But it's been a good process. I'm thankful that we had outside experts that do this all the time that could help, because if you just start looking online for logos and mascots, it's an endless, you try to find something unique, and it's been used a lot, and it's just having somebody outside that does this that can kind of tweak and make it look just like you want it to look. Certainly I think helped us. But really just wanted you to see these and have them. That way, when you start to see them online, once the website comes up, once we start getting apparel for parents to buy, it will be using these logos and colors. Happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Brown?
I would like to know, I think this is excellent. However, I do know high schoolers in particular, sometimes middle schoolers, you've got a lot of good artists, and they're going to want to do something of their own. Will they be allowed to do that?
Not officially for the school. Yeah, this is what we'll use for the school. Now I'm sure there'll be a zillion different versions of things students draw or use, and we may use some of those at the school. But having a particular brand that you use for your school, or it keeps you from having 40 different wolves on every T-shirt that gets printed. You know, that kind of dilutes your brand at that point.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Anybody else? Ms. Andrews?
The only question I have is regarding the high school, and maybe I'm looking at this completely wrong. But looking at it, it seems as though the Columbia blue and navy is predominant for both elementary and middle school, but then it seems like it shifts to the more red predominant for high school, and that just concerns me a little bit.
It's not.
Is it just how it's laid out
Yeah.
here?
Mhm.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I'm just
like-
thinking of our campuses like Beach and Station Camp, where those
Like-
colors are consistent.
No, but I could have given you 20 variations of the same color pattern. I just didn't want to.
Right.
Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to understand that that same logo page on 1 and 2 are exactly the same, except they just used predominant color in a different place.
I'm just making sure that that's the way that I was understanding it, that it wasn't gonna be
Yeah.
those two colors for those lower schools and then the predominant red for
No,
the high school, cause.
I kind of see a mix of all of those across the 3 schools, because I know Dr. Reynolds has mentioned she likes the light blue. And so, you know, I think you'll see that light blue in our athletic uniforms. So we could have printed 10 pages.
Just to show the difference.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I just wanna make sure that I'm understanding it, cause I'm sure too, there may
Yeah.
be questions throughout the community, so I can answer that and say, no, it's not necessarily the case. I also will, reiterate what you said as far as having like the one consistent, mascot, because like you said, like if you go and pull up a wolf mascot online, for instance, if you just watched the baseball tournament, they had the wolf pack. Their wolf did not look like this. It actually made me wonder, hey, I wonder what our wolf is going to look like. So when you have what you know the structure of the wolf is, like you said, you're gonna do all sorts of different spirit wear, but you don't want this wolf to look completely different than another one. And so the consistency across the campuses will be great, but they will, I mean, just like if you look at the bison at Station Camp and the way they've changed it to incorporate STEM, it's more of like if you're familiar with what DigiCamo is, it's almost more of like a DigiCamo
Yeah.
versus just your standard, because it sets it apart for STEM. So, but I agree, there needs to be one consistent form of what that wolf looks like so that you don't have the various variations
Right.
of it.
And I think especially on the front end, it's super important, because it does make your school, it makes it consistent, it makes your school identifiable. And then as time goes along, you're gonna have different things that happen, student art, and like Ms. Brown said, and other things, and those will be addressed at that time, you know, but on the front end, I think it's really important.
All right, thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think to Miss Andrews' question on the colors and the different logos that we used, you know, I think the color palette gives a lot of flexibility to the schools in deciding on uniforms. You know, I know this probably wasn't intentional. I know we picked the red, white, and blue, but it makes me think a lot of Ole Miss with the colors that they use. You know, they've got the dark blue, but then their baseball team also has the powder blue. And I think there's a lot of options that you can go with around that, that our coaches and our staff can kind of choose from to figure out what image we want to portray, you know, or our athletes to represent for the community.
Yeah, I like that too.
Ms. Hayes?
You would like that on this. Yeah, uniformity is really important. Out of curiosity, from the time that we contracted with this company, ICTM, these are trademarked, right? From the time we
Yeah, I mean,
contracted, how long did it take them? And ballpark figure, what kind of cost goes into branding?
Probably 9, I don't know, how long from, I don't know, 9 months?
Yeah, it's probably something around there.
Probably 9 months, but now that was 2 hours of, you know, 2 hours of, I really don't like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, they change it, and then another hour, it's not like it's consistent all the time. You know, a lot of it, they send you what they, you know, you tell them what you like and don't like, and then they send it back, and another variation, and until you kind of get a little closer, and some of it, you just, literally, Philip, I think they just sat there and made the changes while you were online, and you know, that's pretty much how it went.
So when was this confirmed? Did you all have an input,
Oh, yeah.
the final?
Well, Jason and Dr. Reynolds didn't. Philip did. Yeah. So it's been probably 9 months. I guess I've had this probably, what?
Yeah, you worked on it for a good while, and you brought me in kind of on the tail
Yeah.
end. Then we wrapped things up.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be just me because I'm not very good at picking out the wolf. But I think after they got involved, it was good.
And ballpark figure, what this cost?
Nothing. It's a company out there.
like that.
Yeah, you didn't spend anything to get this. There's a company out there that does this, and so it's they do it for schools all across the country. So wasn't any cost to us to do it. That's a good thing.
I like that.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Mr. Gregory?
It's been a while since we went through this, but did we as a board recommend that these would be consistent all the way through with elementary, middle, and high school with color schemes and mascots?
We did.
And that makes it much, it builds a source of pride in the community. And it saves parents money because it's carryover from one school to the other. And I firmly like that. I know
Yeah.
Portland is all purple and white.
Yeah.
White House is all blue and white. Westmoreland's all red and white. And that does help.
Yeah, I definitely think we are at an advantage here because we get to start all of them at the same time, and we get to do these types of things that it's pretty rare that occurs, even in a larger growing district. It's usually the time frame is broken into 4 or 5 year increments, and before you get all 3 schools, and by that time they've kind of all adopted, you know, their logo and their mascot, and then you wind up with, like we've talked about, 50 variations of it, and it's just hard to really know that that's your school. So I'm excited about it. These 3 folks are gonna pick up the baton, and they're gonna share this stuff out on social media, right? I think that's what the plan is. And then they've all been working together already, and you'll be hearing from them because they're gonna come back and talk about in the future with the board about some of the things they're planning to do once we get to late summer, early fall, with the parents of students that we know will be zoned to this school. They're going to go out and have community events. They're going to go out and make sure everyone knows who they are if they don't already. And so they're really going to do a lot of things to make sure that we build that sense of community across all 3 schools from day one. So I'm excited about that. I think they're excited about that too. I know they are. We've talked about it. And this is one important part, because once you start having those types of events, if parents have an opportunity to buy a t-shirt for the student that's going to go there and those types of things, then that certainly helps. It's a good thing. So thank y'all. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Dr. Phillips. Moving on to the next item on new business, discussion interaction regarding approval of contract for architectural services for Liberty Creek Middle. Motion approved by Mr. Gregory. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Duncan. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, would you take the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. Bachman, Ms. Andrews,
Yes.
Mr. Duncan,
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins,
Yes.
Mr. Daniels,
Yes.
Mr. Wise,
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gregory,
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding approval of contract of architectural services for White House Intermediate. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, take the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Hayes? Ms. Bachman?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Chairman Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next item on the agenda, there are several things here. Are these things that we can put all in one motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we group, approve, and waive second reading on items 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold on just a minute, let me slip on down. And 9 next. Makes sense.
Usually after 8.
Yeah, 1 through 9.
All right, motion's been made. Ms. Hayes, a second. Any discussion on grouping everyone together?
Mr. Chairman, just one thing. to
Mr.
build on.
Johnson.
So this is our latest batch in our continuing journey through the policy manual. And all of these policies represent a change in state law that we've just updated the policy. So we're hoping to wrap up in July and actually finally be through our journey, but this is the latest batch of them. And like I said, all of these are just changes in state law.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any further discussion? Mr. Wise, your light's on.
Oh, well, I'm so sorry.
Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, please take the roll.
Ms. Hayes? Or Ms. Bachman?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Chairman Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. The way that was done, that's all done and over with. So, next item on the agenda is unfinished business, discussion and interaction regarding a revision to policy 5.403, drug-free workplace, second reading. Motion approved by Mr. Wise, second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Bachman?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Wise? Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Chairman Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the general purpose budget. Motion approved by Mr. Daniels, second by Ms. Hayes. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, please do the roll.
Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Bachman?
Yes.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Wise?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Chairman Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next item on the agenda is discussion and interaction regarding amendments to the federal budget. Is there a motion? Motion approved by Ms. Hayes, second by Mr. Daniels. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, please take the roll.
Yes, sir. Ms. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Bachman? Ms. Andrews?
Yes.
Mr. Duncan?
Yes.
Ms. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. Wise? Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Gregory?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkerson?
Yes.
Chairman Burke?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next item on the agenda is communication with board members. Ms. Hayes, would you like to start us off?
Well, sure, thank you.
I know that we have many, well, all of our administrators are outstanding, but I do want to congratulate Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Bennett, Dr. Holt. What an exciting opportunity. Have you all ever, well, for us, opened a school? We got some experience. Yes, Ms. Reynolds. You got them blowing and going. I know they're going to miss you, but just looking forward to seeing all this come together and just collaborating together and opening them all at the same time. I mean, that's just exciting. But hope everybody's having a great summer, and you guys have a happy 4th, safe 4th, and just glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Ms. Bachman?
I too am so glad to see all 3 of our new principals here. And I know Dr. Reynolds opened Burris, so that was an exciting thing. So it's going to be wonderful to see you open the second school within a matter of a few years. So, but you all 3 of you are going to do a fantastic job, and I can't wait to see that day that we can open it up. So you all have a great summer, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bachman. Ms. Andrews?
Yes, I too just want to say welcome. Thank y'all for coming tonight. I know it's summer. I know things are busy, but we appreciate y'all coming and joining in the conversation tonight. I just want to say for Dr. Holt and for Mr. Bennett, I hope y'all are ready. Dr. Reynolds is tough, and she's going to keep you in line. But she does a great job. And I just want to say thanks too for our new chairs. It's the little things in life. Our new chairs and our hooks are back thanks to Andy Brown's team. I know how to say it. Only the women here understand the significance of the hooks, but we are very appreciative of it.
Thank you, Ms. Andrews. Mr. Duncan?
I don't have anything tonight with the exception of I'd like to second the shout out from Mr. Andy Brown. Thank you for the chairs.
Thank you, Mr. Duncan. Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, I can just echo our new staff at Liberty Creek. I know you guys are excited to take on that responsibility. It's, a lot of people are going to be excited when that school opens. I remember when my dad opened up Madison Creek, it's a lot of work that you guys, a lot of hours that you're going to be putting in over the next year and a half, and I'm excited that you all were selected to lead those schools because I think you're a great representation of our county. You're doing a great job on that campus. So congratulations and best of luck with all the hard work ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daniels. I skipped over Ms. Hawkins because I looked over and she wasn't there. So Ms. Hawkins, would you like to comment?
That's all right. I'm going to pass on comments tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Mr. Wise?
No comment.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Ms.
I want to
Brown?
thank y'all for undertaking this journey, and I wish you well. And let us know if there's a problem. Nobody ever knows unless somebody tells you. I want to thank Dr. Phillips for coming 10 years ago. I think it's been a really mutual, well-satisfying, cooperative effort to get the schools up to date, make us look into the future instead of being so stagnant. So I think that's a very positive item. And I want to say something about the graduations. Yeah, you do not realize how much, especially the smaller graduating classes, appreciate us being there. I always try to go to Merrill Hyde and middle college graduations. I used to go to E.B. Wilson, but they put it where I had a conflict, so that didn't work. But they really do like to see you there, and I hope next year we'll see more of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Gregory?
Thank you.
Mr. Duncan, about 45 minutes, okay? I did not go to Portland's graduation this year. I went to Hendersonville. And I text Mr. Brewer, and he never could find me, could he? I was on the front row. I learned a lot. That was the 80th graduating class of Hendersonville High School. In 1941, actually I talked to a gentleman yesterday that brought me up to date about this. He's 95 years old. And he said in 1941, there were 10 or 12 seniors at Hendersonville High School. He said there may have been more but several of them had to go into that was during the war, and several had to go into the Army. In 1944 is the year that this gentleman I was talking with graduated. There were 17 in the Hendersonville graduation class. And he was the president of the class. I asked him if anybody ran against him. He said he didn't think so. In 1966, there was a lady who works in Portland but lives somewhere down that area. Graduated from Hendersonville. There were 550. That was before the beach school. In 2021, it was 345. That's correct, isn't it? When that 345 was, I believe, was the number. And then I learned also last evening that Hendersonville played football in a field that is across the street from where Brown Elementary School is now. So it was a hayfield. And of course, we all know where Brown Elementary School is. And then in Portland, I don't have these statistics on all these schools. I'm not sure. I thought the first graduating class in Portland was 1914, but what I was looking at today showed it 1916. I had 12. In 1944, this same year that Hendersonville had 17, Portland had 41. In 1999, Portland had 260. And 2021, 230. Now, I did go to TCAT graduation, which very proud of that school. I know all of you too. There were graduates this year from Portland, Westmoreland, Hendersonville, Beach, and Station Camp, all from that one class. So that serves a big purpose in our county. That's all. But that I like those numbers like that.
Well, to all the men in the room, happy Father's Day. Congratulations to the three of you. We're going to see exciting things, I think, in the new year, and we're going to kick the new year off, at least everybody in school. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkerson. I did skip over discussion of study session items, but as usual, they'll let us know what we're going to discuss at study session anyway. So.
We don't have a study session until August,
Okay.
so that's your study session item.
Well, if I just kept my mouth shut, y'all thought I was really good, wouldn't you? Well, I'm proud. Of course, Ms. Reynolds, you've done a fantastic job anyway. So we know that everything's going to be done fantastically at the new schools. I'm excited about them. Everybody in my office is just buzzing about them all the time, asking questions about them, and so looking forward to it. And I'm going to be so tickled to show them this wolf, because that is a nice wolf. He's not snarling. He is a nice wolf. And look at his little family there. That's a nice family. So I'm glad we picked nice wolves. So that's good. And before I get myself in trouble, that's all I have tonight. So we are adjourned.